To Queensland now, where we all know the state government is facing several crises at once, most notably housing, mental health and youth crime. So what does Premier Palaszczuk decide to do? A cabinet reshuffle, of course, because that is one way governments who are beleaguered love to look like they're doing something when they're really doing nothing. Something that makes this reshuffle doubly laughable is the fact that there's not one new face. She's literally got the exact same cabinet, reshuffled a few job titles, and now wants to convince Queenslanders it's a brand new day.
We understand that health, housing and youth crime are really big issues out there in the community. So I've refreshed my team and we have a renewed focus, and they're energetic and they're keen to get things done.
She kept saying this repeatedly today. It's a refreshed government. I've refreshed the government. Lady, if you want refreshment, drink a Gatorade. You've literally got the exact same people who weren't delivering any outcomes for constituents and put them into different departments. Speaking of which, most notably, you'd remember Shannon Fentiman, who's the Minister for Women, who doesn't know what a woman is.
I take an inclusive approach. So that's anyone who identifies as a woman. So that's people that are born, with the gender as female, like myself, but it's also trans women. It's also those Queenslanders who are non-binary. Let's be inclusive. Anyone that identifies as a woman is a...
Yeah, that's Shannon Fentiman. You'd think you'd shuffle that particular portfolio after your Minister for Women decided to include men in the same category. But no, not only Queenslanders is she still your Minister for Women, she's also your all-important Minister for Health and Minister for Mental Health. The irony is excruciating. But seriously, can anyone give me just one example? I'll settle for one, where a single government reshuffle, cabinet reshuffle, we're doing something, actually resulted in categorically better outcomes for constituents. Because I've tried, and I cannot think of one.
Well, it might if you had some new, fresh faces, but as you pointed out, they're the same people just sitting in different chairs.
Yeah.
It would be like if we sat in different chairs tomorrow night and said, oh, it's a brand new show. you really think anyone would go for it and believe it?
It would be a brand new show, given we're not on air on Friday nights usually. But, the late debate takeover of Sky News, it's coming for you.
You know what is interesting about this reshuffle is there's no new faces, but there is a new ministry, and there's a Minister for Treaty. And it's interesting that that's never been taken to the electorate. It's a little bit like the federal government have got a minister for a republic. Again, never been taken to an electorate, although we did have a referendum and we all said, no, we don't want it. But governments continue to push these agendas. So there's a Minister for Treaty in Queensland now.
It's about time to bring back the Ministry of Silly Walks. I think that'd make just as much sense. Every time I hear the name Fentiman, it just makes me think of fentanyl, which I think you probably need a good dose of after you hear her carrying on about, what a woman actually is. And did she not, in that quote, in that clip we played, when she meant to say non-binary, she said non-binary. I mean, the Queensland government, if you've got to reshuffle the decks like this, the Queensland government is indeed in a bind.